Well, I'd like to call to order the commission meeting of the meeting of the Franklin Tourism Commission, and at this time, take roll. We have Jeff Kadersky, who is excused absence. Barbara Wesner.
Here.
Mark Wiley. Here. Our board at this current time. If you will all join me, stand up and face the flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on our agenda this evening is the citizen comment period. It is now 6:01. I'd like to open the citizen comment period. We have a couple of folks in the gallery, but I believe we're going to be getting to you on a later agenda item.
They're both engaged, Frank.
Right. So, not seeing any other citizens present, I'd like to close the citizen comment period and move on to item number 3, the draft minutes approval of our July 17th.
Motion to approve as written.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion by Mark Wiley to approve the minutes, a second by Barbara Wesner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Reports. The second quarter report from Engage Franklin. Mark?
Well,
turn it over.
Before we do this, so Laura is here representing the board. Laura is now going to join the board. With her is our new executive director, Brandon Janea. So Brandon has a lot of experience in baseball. He's already shown himself to be quite adept at social media. So you're going to see a lot of activity from Engage Franklin that Brandon's going to be responsible for. And with Laura joining the board, our board is complete, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have any openings right now.
No, just Michelle stepped back.
Yeah, Michelle came. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at our board meeting on Monday, I did report that we were minus one commissioner.
Right.
I reported the minutes, summary of the minutes from our last meeting. But the rest of it, I'm going to leave to Laura and Brandon to go through.
I think the highlight is the introduction.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. We'll start there. I mean, the rest is a little bit boring, to be honest. Because we've been relatively inactive, with the exception of now we're going to be like. Right? So I asked Brandon to kind of prepare just a minute or two about his background, and then as Mark mentioned, he is very adept at digital marketing. So he's exactly what we need. He doesn't have a tourism background per se, but that stuff can be taught, right? So he has all the hard skills that we need and the enthusiasm and longevity of mindset that we couldn't have been happier after hiring Brandon with the outcome so far. No, it's going to be super bright, but I'll turn it over to him to kind of let him know who you are and then open it up to questions.
Great. Hi, Brandon.
Well, my name is Brandon Chinette, as they said. So yes, as Mark said, my background is purely baseball. I was a coach for the last 3 years, and I played up until I was 23 years old. And I believe that's kind of why they hired me, in order to train me because of my characteristics that come from baseball, about discipline, hard work, ethic, loyalty, all that types of stuff that comes with playing sports. So that's just a quick background on me. My expertise is digital marketing, which I believe is going to help Franklin and put Engage Franklin on the map. And I plan to have every single piece of business, every single square foot of Franklin on social media just being out there, whether organically or through paid ads, boost ads, or ad campaign. And those are just details that we are in the process of figuring out. But right now I'm in control of the social media, and my first plan is to meet every single business owner in the city of Franklin and get their business out there with a video, picture, so and so, with events, discounts, food, whatever they have in mind. I can basically market it for them, and it's free through me. So that's how I think we're gonna explode as a city, and more people are gonna see us, and it's gonna look more appetizing for people that are outside of Wisconsin, outside of Franklin, and that's kind of why we exist. So we look more attractive, people come, revenue is coming from the outside, and now money is circling through. So that's kind of a brief, very brief thing of why I'm here.
He's exactly right with hired. That's the exact right personality to carry this out. And his dedication to already in this small period of time to the business community and making sure that all assets are being promoted is truly admirable. So I be more excited about our.
No, and I talked with Daryl after our meeting too, and he's fully on board. He's very pumped to have you be part of it. And he was impressed too with all the meetings you've already set up.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big asset to us.
Yeah. Got some.
Well, enthusiasm's a big deal, in promoting Destin. I mean, if people see you and you're fired up about Franklin and the opportunities, they can't help but want to at least hear a little bit more and find out what's going on and why it's so special. So that's great. Now, Brandon, do you mind if I just ask a housekeeping question? Can you spell your last name for me?
Yes. Chinea.
And pronounce it for me. What's
Chinea.
Chinea? Chinea.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Brandon Chinea.
So
Great.
the announcers has been getting it wrong.
Well, I wonder if, now we haven't met yet. I know you know Mark. Have you met with,
No, I've not met.
so maybe can we just take a minute and maybe start with you, Barbara, to just talk a little bit about your background and how you made your way to the Franklin Tourism Commission?
Okay, sure.
Just for Brandon's benefit, and then.
Well, I retired from the South Suburban Chamber of Commerce at 5 years and was involved as an ad hoc member of the tourism in Oak Creek, and then have been on this tourism commission for 7 years now. So my background is in certainly with the Chamber of Commerce, representing Franklin, Oak Creek, as well as the wider business community, and before that in association for many years for other associations. I live in Franklin, have been here for 30 years plus. So, and also I'm very much involved in a number of other volunteer organizations in the city and support, like Forte Theater, which you've been
Actually have a meeting with them.
excellent. So I was hoping so.
Yeah.
So anyway, I also have some other volunteer things that I do.
And Brandon and I have met a number of times. One of the things I tried to impress on him was that I know nothing about tourism, except for I'm a consumer. I've never run a hotel. I've stayed in a lot of hotels, and we're getting even better acquainted now. I will point out too, Sunday is the last game that Engage Franklin is sponsoring this year. Throwing out the first pitch.
Nice.
And he's also organizing for the first time, taking advantage of one of the things that we could do, having a table at the entry to talk about Engage Franklin and talk about everything that we're doing. So he's got some great ideas he's done for the scoreboard for the opening, and also what do they call it, the in-game activity.
You want to share that? It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to his.
So it's not official yet. I'm actually going to speak with their Nathan after this. But yeah, my idea is them to take a picture of the game, them having fun, and when they post it on their social media, put #EngageFranklin, and then I'm going to pick a winner, and then the winner is going to win. Since it's a candy drop day, there's going to be like a bunch of kids there, so they're going to enjoy the candy. So I just actually bought the candy. It's going to be a jar full of candy, and the winner out of who who I pick will be posted on the scoreboard, and they get to get the jar of candy and 10 seconds before everybody to go out on the field. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Can I ask, what position did you play?
So I played mainly shortstop, but usually utility guy.
And where did you?
So I played at the University of Tennessee for 2 years, and then NOLA Southeastern. And then I actually played in the same league as the Milkmen with the Kane County Cougars. I don't know
Oh, yeah.
if you remember.
Yeah.
So I played for them for a year, and then I coached at UWM in Milwaukee. And then I coached with the Dockhounds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. And then I coached back at home where I'm from in Miami at a high school. So, and then now here.
So you probably know that Mark, I mean, one thing that I find, well, let me back up for just a second. Barbara, you have, with her experience, a good, I always think of your experience as a good crossover experience between the working relationship between, or the differences between some of the purposes behind the Tourism Commission and also the purpose and some of the activities you do through Engage Franklin, which has a wider scope, right, than just necessarily overnight stays in the Franklin market, right? And so, you know, Barbara represents that too as someone who is heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce for the two cities, was doing a wide variety of things, business to business and tourism related. So very similar to what's happening in some respects with Franklin. And you have Mark, who has been on this commission since it was formed. And so, you know, if you ever want to get a perspective of, you know, how things began with the, you know, the formation of the Tourism Commission and how it's evolved over, I don't even know how many years. You think I know this sometime. It's been a while.
2017.
So we're going on seven years.
Yeah.
Like it's longer than that.
It might be.
But, well, I mean, it feels that
Yeah.
way. I'm sure it's only 7 years, but so Mark would be a good resource for the history of this commission and how it's evolved. As far as my background, so I, from the beginning, along with Mark, was brought on as the lodging representative that was required on the commission and have been a member of the commission ever since. We operate the Hampton Inn and Suites here in town, and I think you've met with Jeff Kalimba,
Yes.
right, there at the hotel. And I have been involved in other, tourism commissions. I don't live in the market. I own a management company. We have some properties throughout south central Wisconsin, but I live I live in the land of Lincoln, about 2 hours from here, a little town called Dixon. But I was involved in Dixon's Tourism Commission. Illinois has a very similar setup to the way they collect room tax and cities can collect city room tax. But I was also involved in a regional chamber of commerce. In my territory, you need 500 rooms to be a convention and visitors bureau. So it took 4 counties worth of hotels to get 500 guest rooms. And so we called ourselves Black Hawk Waterways, and we represented the 4 counties in Northwest Illinois as a marketing. I was the president of that board for several years, and a member from Dixon Tourism. Municipality would send somebody to the board. Anyway, and I've been in the hotel business for almost 30 years. Graduated from the University of Wisconsin, Stop Hotel Restaurant Management, and have just been involved in lodging pretty much my life. And with the current company that I have, that's been 12 years old, and it's just exclusively to Hilton properties. So we have 2 Hampton Inns, and we have Home 2 Suites, and 2 of our properties are in Beloit, Wisconsin. And as you might guess, as a lodging member of this commission, very concerned about and interested in promoting and staying true to that mission, right, of the city room tax, and that is to make sure that we use it in the promotion to promote Franklin as an overnight destination. Sometimes it's not always overnights because sometimes it's day trips and people go, I'm coming back. And we'll stay overnight next time, but at least getting people from outside the area in here to experience all the goodness that is Franklin, that exposure. And I would love to meet with you at some point. So as you're setting up these business visits, if you, we can talk later, but I'd love to meet with you and learn a little bit more about what you've been doing and everything.
Just made a video for the Hampton Inn, so.
Nice. All right. Good. Yeah, I'm meeting with Jeff tomorrow, so and he told me that he took a chance to talk, so looking forward to it.
I was just there yesterday.
John, have you met with Brandon or what?
Yeah, I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Franklin, so I'm the staff person that supports the Tourism Commission.
Great job.
That's been my career for over 30 years, and I have worked on development of tourism facilities.
On our training checklist for Brandon does have it on there when he feels to do the one-on-ones with all commission members and John probably was a liaison.
And that's fine. If that's part of the, you've got that set up, then I'll just wait until, you're ready to do that with all the commission members. That sounds good. That time. All right. Well, good. Well, good to have you aboard.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good to have someone in that role.
Yeah, really excited to go.
Yeah. The official
On
business of the
the financial aspect of it.
Right.
I don't know if you received it in time, John, but I did forward it over to
Everybody's
you.
got a copy.
Oh, wonderful, thank you. I ended up, we recorded the statement of financial position and the statement of activity and it's actually through July because we had the information here that I took it all. There really hasn't been much going on, but I will go through line items with you that are relevant. Obviously, you'll see the revenues. You guys are aware of that, since you are revenues, so that should match up with your outgoing. And then expenditures, we've so far spent $7,150 on advertising and marketing. That's generally, that's whether it be, most of it has been with regard to the website, collateral design and production, those types of things. And then we've had the bulk of our spend in contract and professional fees, as I know, it's been a bit of a journey for us to get here, right? So all of that has been done through a third-party professional, obviously, and we wanted to make sure that third-party professional, rather, and we wanted to make sure that we outsource that appropriately. So that's the bulk of what we've actually ended up doing. And then the legal fees acquired recently, the 1640, that is for the most recent, we're reapplying for 501c6 versus a 501c4, the way it was originally set up.
Right.
It was for 4. 6 allows us to be parts of the state of Wisconsin and all of the other DMO groups. It also is just for us adding the guys. I also forgot to lump in the contract and professional fees. That was also some of my wages are lumped in there as well. So a good amount of that is my contracting fee, which you will see go down considerably as I'm tapering off, joining now as a volunteer board member. And the rest is ancillary, really. We had entertainment meals. That was actually just one lunch for Brandon's interview, which I thought was deemed appropriate. Postage and shipping, that $116 there is actually, we got a P.O. box. We wanted, originally we started in Ballpark Commons up there in the bullpen. We wanted to have a mailing address that was separate from that space that we could access without having to pass through. So until we have bricks and mortar, I'll get you guys the new address, obviously. Address. We just have to have it claimed. I wanted Brandon to be on it. Had time to claim it just yet. And then the rest of it would be just the software apps, things like that. That's our Outlook subscription, our QuickBooks subscription that we pay regularly. So anecdotally, I can kind of give you a little rundown. on revenues, the only additional revenue to Franklin from tax is a very small amount of $7 that we get in dividends based on our balances at Educators. The golf show sponsorship also came into play with regard to the advertising and marketing expenses. As you remember, we gave $2,000. Now, in return, we received the ability to be on their website, receive their email database, and then, of course, have collateral in their golf bags that everybody else in Franklin when they visited. The also lumped into the advertising, marketing, and professional fees was a photography session that we did through iNet. So a lot of the content was grabbed for our website build, which is yet to be reflected because I just paid those bills, so you'll see that on our next report. That was for content creation. So they went out to the golf courses, they went out to the restaurants, they wanted, everything basically see. We wanted anything that was produced for Rock Ventures or anything else. John was also kind enough to provide the Carl Collective content. So now I'm giving that to Brandon so that he can use relevant there. So very, very that. And then, yeah, that's literally all that we've done financially in the past period of time since we last had our update. That will increase now, obviously, because Brandon's going to have his ground and he's going to do digital marketing and probably have some really awesome ways to present for our next update with kind of ROI stats, because he can go ahead and that with regard to our web traffic as we start to promote it more digitally and on the site. So I am. Oh, and also just to let you know, we're on track for filing all reports, DOR, and we have all that stuff is being and filing taxes. So, and we've enlisted the help. Any questions?
One that came to mind when you were talking about legal fees
Yes.
and related to changing the form of organization.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was a contractual issue for us,
It was.
and I'll be honest, I've lost track a little bit of where that's at. So is it complete now, or is the new entity formed?
We've done it all. We're just waiting for our determination.
Okay.
So everything's been filed, everything's been paid for. All of it is with with the Department of Revenue. They have everything they need. We know the government time, right? And so we're literally just waiting to have our back. So when that is official, we'll obviously sharing that with you and John. But yeah, it's formality, but
you've
it's
done your
important.
side, and you're just waiting on the letter back from the IRS. Is that the
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said DOR. I meant
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But you're right, that was the last thing that was in the contract that we needed to get resolved.
all the work's been done.
Okay. Another question I had was any feedback just through Engage Franklin from lodging facilities in Franklin about the RNC?
I think the Sleep In Mainstay was a little late to the party, unfortunately, on that one. I think they did receive some overnight stays. And then Staybridge, I'm still waiting to, I have star data on it, but it's for all of South suburban Milwaukee. So I don't have any on how they perform. And of course, your proprietary also. But I do believe that 2 of the 3 main properties and that was actually a little bit unique. A lot of the suburban properties, they had delegation.
Is that what you were hearing through like the RNC Housing Authority that they
They
either
pulled from their
cancel blocks
delegations.
or
Mhm.
interesting?
Which I mean, I think is unfortunately
Mhm.
right. But hopefully, whatever transient attendees, whatever was left over.
Yeah. Okay. And did the Engage Franklin do any, for the attendees that were in our area. I think we had 83 of our 100 rooms were RNC for that week. Was there any, I guess I'm just asking, any outreach, or was there any information presented to anybody, or I'm just kind of curious.
Not at the properties, but I actually manned tables at the Hilton Hyatt, so I made sure we had our collateral out there on the
Oh, okay.
So people who were attending that were in the soft perimeter, where those were, had access to that. And I sent a couple of groups over to Lux. They were looking for, options.
Something
that,
to do,
like,
yeah.
exactly. So, there were conversations had, and the tables had the collateral there.
I found it really interesting. I was in Madison during the RNC on Tuesday night of the week-long thing, and I walked into the Hilton Monona Terrace, and I see one of these bus shuttle schedules that I know all attendee hotels have, because Go Right had the contract to pick up the delegates, take them to the Fiserv Forum. Texas delegation being in Madison.
Unique.
And I just thought to myself, what is going on? Because that's a little bit of a bus ride. And I knew there were blocks being canceled here in Milwaukee, because I know this main state, Sleep actually did have a block, and they had it canceled on them. They said, thanks, but no thanks. You're not going to place any. And yet, I'll bet you I don't know how many rooms they had. Now, that's a Marcus property, and I don't know if Trump was staying at the Pfister, which is also a Marcus property.
Trump was.
And so he may have dislocated, they may have needed more rooms there.
Yeah.
And maybe Texas got shipped out to another Marcus property in Madison.
Right. There was a lot of last minute round going on, especially considering, the incident just where they had spaces, and actually they had to almost rejumble a lot of stuff intentionally so that anybody who may have had plans for anything terrible, they didn't know what to expect because they were last minute. And all of the folks who were staying outside of the perimeters, if they wanted to get into the hard perimeter, they had to go out to AmFam anyway. So in some cases, with regard to the weird traffic that was going on downtown and in that space, it almost would have been not that much more inconvenient from Madison to get to AmFam to get in versus to get out to get back in. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's quirky. And now Chicago's having all the fun right now.
Yeah. Well, from all accounts, Milwaukee did a very good job of prevention. My hope is that it shows the country and anybody's, scheduling something that size, that Milwaukee can certainly
feedback was positive. Not all, obviously, but the majority was very positive. I don't know if you guys, this is a big thing for the hospitality community and for the meetings and conventions. But this coming week we're hosting. So in the Baird Center downtown, basically Monday through Thursday, departing on Friday, we'll have almost 1,000 meeting planners and a couple thousand additional industry professionals, like
That started this Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be wild, and it's really like the Milwaukee area time to shine. I have one more addition that's good news to our report, unless there are other questions.
No.
It's just great news. It's kind of like the cookie with the bed. The other one is that the snow sculpting National Snow Sculpting Championship that traditionally has taken place over in Lake Geneva is very, very seriously pursuing that event.
Really?
So Brandon and I have met with the event owners probably 4 to 6 times. I've 6 times now before probably that you've been a part, maybe a couple. But anyway, it's been a very serious conversation. Just earlier today, in preparation for this meeting, we went over what the event would cost, right? Because things like they bring a ton of benefits. It's generally worthwhile. But I had emailed you, John, in the past that you guys can expect an application for additional funding because it would to host this event for the first time. The Engage Franklin budget alone can't sustain the investment that it would take. based on the conversations that we've had. Is it worth it? Absolutely, I believe so. Because it will drive tourism during, it's late January, early February. So to drive that amount of tourism at that period of time to Franklin particularly, I think would be tremendous. So we still have more homework to do before we complete that application, but I just wanted to let you guys know we received the 75 and the 25 is retained. I know you guys have very important plans, that you may be working on for that, but I just wanted to put our application in as consideration, for those additional funds to be applied to multiple years, be at least a 3-year contract.
You signed a 3-year agreement?
Mhm.
Yeah.
At least 3. He's pushing for 5 even, which I'm not opposed to if we get to the right terms, right? But it involves involvement. It would be after Enchant, preliminary, just high-level conversations taking place about venue, about floor protection. Well, it's already down for Enchant. Can it remain? And the answer is yes. The snow park, we're yet to have our conversation there, but they need to buy the snow, right?
So this would take place on the Rock, the
On
ballpark
the- on the-
commons?
Yep, right on the field, similar to Enchant. Enchant moves out, moves back in, or moves in to follow it. And and it's the perfect hub for the overnight stays. Staybridge, of course, we can be in touch with them and they could shovels or do whatever they would need. They'll be part of the conversation as well. But I just think that it would really put Franklin in a way as a weaker destination. Have Enchant, well now Snow Globe, whatever they've rebranded. That's on the record. I don't know. That event backed up with the national snow sculpture. It would really speak to tourism.
Did they hold that event in Lake Geneva last year? And so,
It's been in Lake Geneva for a number of years.
As long as it's existed.
and we wouldn't be able to wrap this up in time for this year, or they're
We
thinking
would sure
no.
try.
This is this year.
So they
25.
think that in January 2025, they might make the move.
But they don't have a contract.
Is that the deal? And Lake Geneva is a very strong president of their tourism effort. So can you just share? Are they
Anecdotally?
in the game? Are they trying to keep it?
No, I think the snow sculpting is, and this is, the information is by way of Fred, who's the event. So I haven't spoken to Lake Geneva person, so I can't speak on their behalves or their perception of it. But he said essentially the way the conversation we're steering, Lake Geneva has the snow sculpting as part of a much larger winter festival, where there are activations that the snow sculpting one of many activations. So they are of the idea that, as I mentioned, post. I believe from Fred's perception, they don't want to invest in hosting it anymore. And they feel as though it doesn't have to be a sanctioned event. So this is truly, you compete at national and then you get a bid to worlds. Like it's a sporting event of sorts, right? So they felt as though they didn't need to have it be sanctioned or one of those actual events where you can move on in the ranks. That they would just maybe have people snow for fun if they're going to try to do it, you know what I mean, and have the championship part out of it, and just have it be something to look at if they're going to try. That makes sense. They have enough experience hosting the event that they know what it takes to put into it. And so my concern that I voiced to Fred in that is, is this going to be some tiny sideshow versus something that might continue to be a large attraction there? To which he assured me that the snow sculptors do it for fun, but they do it to compete. They do it for the sport of it, right? They're teams that do this. They're extraordinarily passionate. It's like a family, right? Just like a lot of those things are, and that they'll remain loyal to the championship, not just because they want a chance to go to world, but because that's what's the right thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So hopefully that helps. And again, this was a conversation just had with Fred where he shared that information. So I'm not talking.
I think that.
But you're continuing to have those discussions, so there'll be more.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be more stuff soon.
Oh, well, we just got more details today that I didn't feel like Brandon and I together had enough time to properly digest in order to bring it to you guys in a way that was going to be,
Right.
you know, because we just had the meeting today at 1. So, but they came to the table with a lot of detailed information, and you could tell they're open to negotiations. They want it. They really do. And you can tell that Fred and his colleague Linda, who we spoke with today, have a lot of loyalty to the consultants themselves, and they feel a very large responsibility to carry this on in a way that that will be done appropriately, you know,
And I
for
don't
them
know,
and for their respective.
and I don't know if this is a question you can answer right now, but just while it's on my mind, we can follow up. Did someone, one of the sponsors of the event, did they approach individuals here in Franklin about this, or we heard about, you engaged Franklin, heard about it, and said, hey, listen, would you consider Franklin?
We
How did
actually
they sort of come here?
Heard about it through Rock Ventures because they thought Rock Ventures owned Rock Snow Park.
Yes.
Obviously, we know they own the land, but not the business, right?
Right.
So that landed in their partnerships team, and through their partnerships team, he and I worked closely together for years there. So he just called me on my cell and said, hey, this isn't really our jam. This isn't what we do, but is it what you do? And I said, I bet it is.
Right.
So we immediately set up a meeting with Fred, and then he became kind of the planning committee, so to speak, and then anything with Rock Ventures, they're the venue. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and that's, I guess, where I'm going with this too. So there's a difference between like Engage or Enchant, right, which is a Rock Ventures sponsored event generating revenues for the complex. And yes, it helps people visiting it to visit restaurants and hotels. But I see a difference between that and sponsorship by the Tourism Commission of an event that would be more of a city, like could go anywhere, not necessarily the Rock. I mean, I'm just saying, what does that look like for a venue? Are they the only place that takes place? Because, you know, when it takes place in Lake Geneva, it is, as you said, part of their overall bigger city event, and it's on it's city property, or it's in areas that are owned by, you know, the city itself. And so there's not, it's truly a worthy of funding by an organization dedicated to getting visitation to the area. So that would be, I guess, why I'm mentioning this is that if the initial outreach has been Rock Ventures talking to these folks and saying, we'll help you and we'll hold this here, that sounds to me like another Enchant. And if it's that, somebody from Engage Franklin should be talking with this board early on, because I can tell you that there's going to be questions about how you're treating the venue selection process, because it sounds very in-house right now. And I just would, before you go too far down that path, it would be nice to maybe get a working committee here or some communication going on here about how that would go down.
Yeah.
Because I know parking issues and things like that, which are all great issues to have, you know, figure out. But it's one thing when it's parking issues created by somebody else's event, and it's another thing when it's parking issues by an event, you know, sponsored by this, you know, with city room tax dollars, and put on maybe in an area that really benefits not only Ballpark Commons and Rock Ventures, but also that part of that part of that. Maybe it's going to be in that area. I don't know. You know, some other areas possibly that could happen. So I'm just bringing that up. That would be good to just discuss because it's pretty exciting stuff. I mean, I'm very familiar with that event in Lake Geneva, and it did. I mean, the digital media aspects of that's what really, you know, they were getting coverage from television stations, national media was covering that event, you know, because it's really cool, you know, and so there's a lot of potential.
I respect you bringing that up. It was because of the time frame that we'd be working within. They inquired due to the infrastructure already in place. But, like you mentioned, when they were in Lake Geneva, they hosted it in a park. Now, that would maybe cause some other budget things. Then you have to get, like, lights. You have to get a speaker system. And, you know, things like that they found desirable about the particular location. But that doesn't mean we have to marry to it immediately. right? And I kind of consider the relationship, hopefully a good way to explain it is similar to the Greater Milwaukee Golf Show being at Mosh, right? It's a sanctioned event with an event owner who, by way of facilitation, through Engage Franklin, would utilize the
Right.
venue, right? But yes, you're right. We should have a wide range of consideration for venue. That was actually on the checklist also. Brandon's doing kind of like an asset list, right? We've re-upped our subscription to Sports ETA. He'll be attending the symposium. We'll have the RFP showcase listings like we did initially when I was at it full time. And on the topic of Greater Milwaukee Golf Show, Brandon and I are meeting with the show owners early September. It's Thursday at 10.
Wow.
And so we will be meeting with them to see how I do.
And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. It's the difference between an event that Engage Franklin is running with and working directly with the sponsors, and it so happens that the Rock is the best venue that in this area to hold it. Okay, that's one thing. It's a little different if it's Rock saying, I'm doing this, and hey, you Engage Franklin want to get on board and help us out and promote it. And it'd be nice to understand that, because I can see the way that, especially for the future, if you sign up 5-year agreement, that's the kind of thing that if it's powered by Engage Franklin, it really is an Engage Franklin event. You're dealing directly with event sponsors, and you're working with folks like the Rock for the venue and other participants in the community for whatever they need to supply for this thing. That has a different feel to it.
Totally. Yeah. Like for example, any city permitting for that would be applied for by Engage. And the event owner, we would kind of co-apply. The fund that is his business name.
Yeah.
Regardless, whatever their business is that owns that event, the applicant. Yeah, thank you. Winter Fun USA. Or business. So
Right.
it would be us on the application, us making the promises, us to learn on.
Thing.
It would be good to see, really reasonable breakdown of what the costs are
Just got that, yeah.
for the proposal.
That we can actually do it to the point where we can drill down line items and how they'd be applied. So that's the information we gathered today.
How long of an event is this?
7 days total where the sculptors are in, but the event itself is over. So they arrive, get the blocks of snow set up, get the tools out, do whatever they do, right? Create a plan. Then they start sculpting, and obviously at first there's not much heat when you first start. So I don't know the exact timeline, but then when people start to arrive over the weekend, to watch them essentially in the mid to end portion of their experience sculpting.
So it's not a public event for the entire time?
Correct.
Just primarily the weekend?
Yeah, and there's approximately 60 people, 60 guest rooms, I think is what they asked for, 60 guest rooms for their sculptor teams and staff. And then anything else would be transient.
All right.
So that would be for the 7 days, who to expect, and everything. Pretty Brandon. Corral.
All right. Anything else, Laura?
I'm
And-
good, if you guys are good, open to questions.
Any other questions?
Did you cover the position already? Position sheet? You did the
Oh,
revenues?
yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
a very vague one.
Okay, that's
so-
all right. Doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Are you talking
Plus-
about basically the balance sheet?
The statement of
sheet,
financial
yeah.
position. Yes, so I mean, if you guys would like to, it's truly just the assets and liabilities. So all the detailed line items I went through in the other report, it's what it adds up to, right? And obviously it includes last year as well. So total assets, basically $111,000. And then right now we have an accounts payable to $18,813.50. That is for the building of the website. Those were the invoices that I just mentioned weren't necessarily on our line item list, but we paid them apparently. At the point in time it was still in accounts payable, I had.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Laura, thank you
Always.
for the report. All right. Moving on to.
Thanks, Brandon.
I guess.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Unfinished business. The banner bracket proposal. John, where do we?
Mayor's looking for some information from the director, superintendent, department, public.
So that.
Yeah, I've asked a couple times and hasn't gotten it.
Okay. All right.
I mentioned that bracket thing, bring the Engage Franklin, and Michelle took a note of that too. Say something there. I don't know if she will, but
Yeah, she will.
yeah.
Good. So we'll move on beyond that to our budget process. We had started that discussion last meeting. John has done a great job of providing us with some information here, including the draft budget itself, right? This, I think, third page in from the cover page. That's from our meeting next year. Backside of.
Yep, that would be
Page
the
three.
budget page, but
Yeah.
there's a page in front of that that probably gives you some information you're
Receivables, yeah, through
looking for.
12/31. And by the way, is the got to ask this? I didn't see in here. Has the finance department issued the second quarter revenues that they've received?
Yep. And right now, year-to-date balance for us, okay, yeah, you're talking about this year's revenue.
This year's
This
2020.
year's, yeah.
So it would have been due. Hotels had to get it in by July 31st. I realize we're only 20 days in August, but have they issued any?
Well, the year-to-date balance for us right now is 0, so they haven't hit that. Yeah, they haven't hit that. They haven't hit that threshold.
I was just curious.
That will lead to a question of age, so as far as when are we going to write down the next check.
Right.
I can pull it up. Well, it has to get to above the their
The 151.
the 151,900.
Yeah.
So
And after
It has-
that, then
after
we start
that-
to get our cut.
after that,
Right.
it goes to the tourism
Okay.
and Engage Frank 75%.
Yeah, it'll be interesting whether second quarter actually is above.
And so we haven't got any revenues, so they haven't.
Okay.
But let me go in and see if I got that information and I can send it.
I was just curious.
No,
I didn't really
okay.
expect it to have hit yet. It hasn't even been 30 days since the
Right.
Yeah.
reports were filed, you know?
So this sheet, the accrued motel tax receivable, this came from the finance department, John?
Yeah, it's part of it's part of the receipts that they have. Now, I didn't pull the whole sheet because it has names of
Oh, yeah.
facilities.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to have that stuff there.
But the 510 is their projection of what our,
Well, yeah, and so the total, I think it's projected for the year is 481. Well, unless I've got that wrong. Oh
I
no,
see
no,
it
no,
here.
that's the total so far. That was in 2023. That was total 2023. So and then it breaks out the shares 151,900 for the city, 329, 314 for tourism commission, and then we split that up. But the forecast that they gave us was again 495,700, which we still do the 151,900 essentially, and tourism council it's 343,806,
Okay.
and 75% of that ends up going to engagement.
So these
how does the city determine this forecast?
They
They
tell
just
you
kind
to
of-
take a look at trends and the number of rooms that have been added, and
Just kind of, yes.
they do their financial analysis and do the trends. No, it's
It's a little more
no,
detailed.
yeah, the finance director.
And I would say it's conservative based on last 2023's 481, 214, because they're only forecasting $14,000. And I can tell you with the opening of the new hotel and throwing the RNC this year, you know, where hotels for that 1 week in July were averaging $1,000 average daily rate per night. Not our hotel, unfortunately. So
Right.
that didn't have room blocks that
Well,
they committed to years ago.
Yeah, it just depends on
yeah.
depends on what the
Yeah.
what the occupancy is and
But is this right? Then last year in 2023, the first quarter, they took in $101,000 in room tax. First quarter. Second quarter was 129. So somewhere in the second quarter, even last year, they would have exceeded the 151, and there would have been a partial payout to the tourism, correct? Because they would have been
well,
at combined, they would have been at 230 by then.
it would if they had received it in that time frame. But the thing is they backdate the revenues based on when the facilities received it. Not all of them are reporting in a timely fashion.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. So they may have waited till the third quarter
yeah.
to get something from the second quarter.
It's the same thing that we
Yeah.
experienced in the first quarter when we were getting the dollars from
Okay.
the last quarter of the previous year.
And the reason I bring that up is it's, I would say that area hotels probably did better than 129 in the second quarter of this year. And so, again, depending on what they get paid, it's very possible that here in August or whenever they their second quarter numbers together, that you could see a portion could be coming to the tourism commission. We should hit that 151.9.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But all these rows are distinct properties, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, really? All the way down. These numbers we're seeing here are
Yeah, so I figure one of these ones is yours.
I knew you guys would
Yeah.
start guessing.
Right, the other one is
Start trying, oh, who got what
There's
here?
this
You know,
different.
I should never have given it to you.
right.
Just giving you the bottom lines
yeah,
and left
yeah,
it at that.
that's all we. Yeah.
I'm happy with the bottom line.
Okay. All right.
So then, going on to the budget, the 268,065 on the budget request, that's the 75%.
Oh, that's yes, sundry
Yeah,
contracts.
that's just simple 75% of what you see
okay.
in the 360. Well, it should be
Or nine, or
It should be 357, 420. It should be 75% of that,
Okay.
unless I made a mistake. And I
75% of it.
used the total.
the 343,806, right? Where? Or, no,
Okay.
where was it?
Motel room tax is 357, 420. Okay. 75% of that should be the 268,065, unless I made a mistake
Oh,
No.
no, you're right.
And
I'm
took it
talking
out of-
2025.
and took it out of 368.
I'm with you.
I'm wrong.
So now you got me wondering. So now we're gonna do some calculating. So it's 357. 7, 0. Oh.
Got it.
That's correct. 260. Yep.
So the grant program, second line from the bottom.
Yep.
That's-
You were talking about investing dollars in various projects.
Like if they were to come to us for
Tourism.
this
Like
this
we've
snow
been doing.
sculpting.
Yeah, through the grant application. And
Got it.
so I'm in the process of getting a number developed, or we just may use it under the existing category of miscellaneous contribution.
Is it appropriate to, as we're talking about the budget for 2025, and just armed with the information from H. Franklin, is it appropriate to discuss the potential of that request, which may fall outside of our budgetary.
Yeah, and what you would do is you would draw from that particular account, and then you would have to have a change,
Overdraw in the budget.
and then you would be pulling that from reserve.
And again, the couch is a budget issue. The reason that I made the comments I did to Gage Franklin during the time, that's an audience of a former director, now the director,
Right.
is just to frame the discussions that they're having with this vendor, and also if they're coming here with a grant application, to help them produce a better grant application. Because,
Yeah.
again, just with the experience, understanding the difference, which is a rock venture event, like tacos and tequila, that they house on their property and they generate the income and expenses are all theirs. That's what I know about this event from like Geneva. That's not what this is really. If you want to,
I agree with you.
you know what I'm saying? It could be so much more, and it's very possible that that venue is the appropriate place because it's already tied into winter and has a ski hill and snowmaking equipment, which could come in helpful if temperatures in January are 40, which is what's happened on Lake Geneva.
Yes,
you know,
it
that
has.
was,
Geneva.
so and so I get all that. I just want to make sure I understand, or this commission understands, how are you going about this process of the venue selection, the financial relationship between this 5-year contract, the venue, and the organization. I just want to understand all that.
I thought your comments were appropriate because my understanding that after Enchant, people came to Rock Venture or to us and said, "Hey, could you help pay something?" And I don't know that for a fact. I don't think they came to us. I don't remember seeing any. But I do remember there was discussions that, well, gee, we paid this much for that, and there was this much economic benefit to the city. Maybe there should be some. But I think it's good to have all that stuff nailed down right up front.
And my question goes to what they're paying for the venue.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
So this event that they're talking about is not a revenue-generating event. The public that come,
They don't pay.
they don't pay. It's a public
Beyond
service.
the lease.
Yeah, just the people who are putting it on have to pay for the lease.
But we
But
as
as
people
public.
to see the snow sculpture
Right.
don't have to pay.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
free.
That's
Okay.
and now I'll just mention, I know somebody that used to executive director of so I could talk with this person just about how it went, if it truly was part of a bigger situation, and how they feel about the event itself and the cost, the real costs associated with it. But I'm sure the city picked up, so that'll give us some.
That's a good
with your-
conversation.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd
That I
be
reach
great.
out?
Yeah.
This person would have been involved with this event for 4 years. And so,
If they were holding it apart, that would have been a different kind of cost structure.
right,
together.
right. But, and I, again, here's and that's part of this. So one of the things we've got from events that Pratt, which has been phenomenal for that, or Franklin, is that there are unintended consequences, parking frequency. So they can't house everybody there. And yet it's their event, and all of a sudden there are parking issues in the greater community. None that can't be solved and produce a good experience for everyone visiting, but managed, and that's where I think with the right relationships, Engage Franklin can act as an intermediary to go to the folks that own the pit. I keep on picking say a lot, but area parking and secure it and funnel people there. And if you're going to charge for it, great. It goes back to an Engage Franklin, and it helps offset some of the costs. So I mean, there's a difference between who controls the expenses and the revenues of an event like this, and I think that'd be great if that was Engage Franklin versus someone else. And I was hoping to just sort of lay that marker down. Say, why don't you come talk with us? as you're negotiating. I'd hate to be on the outside and then at the very end, you're told this is the deal we struck.
And like Geneva, Chamber of Commerce could have very well had a committee like our civic celebration.
Whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to find out is, because it does sound like it was more like that it was a part of an overall winter fest, and maybe the snow sculpting was one weekend of a 2-week long or 1 week long. But I mean, exciting nonetheless. That kind of stuff is, I think, an appropriate request. All right, sorry about that. Side street there, but.
So I guess the thing that we look at in the budget forecasts and what we see coming up, in the forecast, pulling the numbers that we had on the previous sheet, basically $334,000. Room tax, 11,000. Interest, so total revenues would be $354,000. For sundry contractors, I was looking at $4,500 being where we end up on that. See where that's going to be. There was we talked about it last month in the finance report. There were some charges for Celebrate Franklin's website and for the IT services there. We had some printing for the maps that we did, or not the maps, but the guides for the rental of the parks. Still haven't gotten anything for the maps on that. I don't think they're holding off on that or not. And so that makes up that part of it. But I'm thinking, excuse me, that's legal services. I see $4,500. I had to do that too. I got to get my ruler out and make sure I got the right category. $4,500 for legal services. I think we're at like about $3,500 right now. And yep, 3,130. So I figure if we start looking at working on some other projects with our dollars, we're going to have some more legal services that we need going into next year, maybe this year yet. So that's why I put $7,500. So sundry contractors is Engage Franklin, and then postage is going to cover several different categories, like office supplies if we need them, and then office supplies is and so membership dues and official notices and advertising. We haven't seen anything. So for tourism events, and underneath that is the Franklin Park Concert Series we did this year. So I increased that to 5,000. And what we would do is we would include events like we did for the Weir Center and for the library, because those were events, even though they were intended to raise dollars for improving the facilities.
Okay, so even though they came through our grant, what's the definition of grant program? That requests that are being made in our
yeah, and I would use the application form for.
But if they fit this event category, then we're drawing it out of that line item. So again, things that would events like some examples.
It was the library event. It was a library fundraiser. The Weir Center fundraiser,
Right.
And then Franklin concerts.
This would not include a request about, let's say, this celebration for some sponsorship that would fall under the grant program.
And we were, the grant program, we're talking about making some expenditures for capital. And so that's going to be part of our discussion later. But that would be a start to cover those kind of. And like I said, maybe one of those. So we go down mileage. And well, conferences and schools. I know that you were talking about plans getting folks to go to the convention.
Wisconsin Hotel and Lodging Association,
Hotel Lodging.
or the tourism. Actually, probably a more appropriate. Well, both are worthwhile, but probably the Governor's Conference on Tourism would be the premier event to attend, because that is all about Wisconsin tourism.
Right.
And you may meet committee members like yourselves, other communities that attend. That attracts directors like a Brandon or a Lauren, and there are a lot of them there, but there's also hotel operators, and there are commission members from various boards across the state. So it really is kind of an interesting collection, and you hear right from the state's tourism director, you get the lowdown on how we're promoting.
When is it? When has it been?
I can tell you, it's usually in February. February, March.
And is the hotel association had their conference already?
No, they haven't. Now that's in November, and it's going to be in Kalahari this year, Wisconsin Dells.
So my thought was that you folks could be attending that with the budget that we have, and then there's $1,000 for mileage, mileage this year's like $250 forecast, but what's the budget on that?
And I can certainly, if anyone's interested, and if I can register you, if you let me know. I think the program itself is about $400 a person. It's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? Usually there's a reception on Sunday night. Not a lot going on other than that reception. Mm-hmm. Program kicks off on Monday. It's all day Monday. It's a half day Tuesday. You're actually leaving Wisconsin Dells by lunch.
So anyways, so there's $2,000 in next year's budget, $1,000 this year, and then for mileage, there's $1,000 next year. There's $250. For marketing services, that was, I think, where we had the.
Would be like what we do with the Carl Collective.
Yes. Yeah, that would be like what we
do. A website for our. I just took $5,000 out of that and put it into conferences and schools. Excuse me, not that. Tourism events. And then there was $1,000 left in it. Not specific things that I have in mind, but again, we had the budget we had in there this year was $20,000. So if there's specific things that you want to do there, if not, reduce it. Fine, you can reduce it. And this is where we had some of these expenses for like the maps. Things where we put, well, that would have been in the grant. I've got to dig. And in the maintenance billboards, assuming that the brackets gets figured out, this would be a figure.
15,000 would be made.
Well, we're getting closer to, and I would think one of our goals is now that we've got a major commitment to a PMO, that the dollars we're spending should get a little tighter. We have less of our goal was to get a lot of what's happening in Franklin.
In the sundry contractors.
Yes. And giving us really, again, some things maybe we've traditionally or historically, handled, and get down to that budget there. So So this does that, this skinny's down, and we go around $18,000.
So the 5,200, the Franklin event, Franklin Library event, and the Weir event. Like I say, it wasn't in my budget this year, so I had to put it in other stuff. And then it had, I think we also had the maps and
Under marketing.
under marketing.
Yeah.
And then I think there also was, I remember in the printing end of things, there was also that bill for Franklin. Of updating fees that we got charged.
Oh, I see. And now the website and all that is over on Engage Franklin, right?
That's Engage Franklin.
So to the best of to your knowledge, then, we don't have any we have offloaded any ongoing costs associated with digital marketing, a website, print media.
I think he killed the earlier attempt at a Facebook page and a website. And what was it called before? Celebrate Franklin?
Celebrate Franklin.
I think he's killed that.
Yeah, they were supposed to get killed a while ago.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think he
down
finally
now.
did.
Okay.
So
I'm just trying to make sure that we've got, if there's anything else out there that we are paying for that we haven't plugged or we don't want to. I'm not aware of anything else, but well, comments on the
I think it looks good.
draft budget?
Need a motion?
Yeah.
Motion to approve the draft budget as presented by John.
And I will second.
All right. Excuse me, we've got a second by Barbara. We call for any discussion on this?
I think it looks good.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That budget is approved.
Thank you.
And working on, moving on to new business. Tourism Commission Grant Program Facility Investment. Session.
Yep.
Bigger projects to address what is to be a question. I know it's been asked already that of this reserve amount now as revenue stabilized to the point where you would be in, I think, 2025 year in which the city feels, or we may be able to petition the finance committee to say, you know what, let's do the 70-30 split every quarter. You're going to get your one, you're going to get your, not only your 151, but if all goes well, you'll be your 30% more than, that's what they're projecting.
153, 180 for
Couple
theirs.
grand more, yeah, or a little less than
257.
2,000. So I think, and we may not get that 2025, it may be a 20. We could approach the city.
Depends on when the rooms come online.
Yeah, approach them on the split of that right from the get-go, so that truly we're up to date with Engage Franklin, that they're getting their 75% every quarter.
Yeah.
In full.
The only thing that I would want to add to this, and I at the Engage board, I told them about those two grants that we approved last meeting. And I said, we did that because small amount, it was time essential, even though they don't generate overnight stays. And they agreed we need to have a sit down to discuss. When do we get things that we say you have to go to Engage? When does Engage get things that say, no, that has to go to tourism? I don't know if they ever would. But they were in agreement. We need to establish, how do we do Weir Nature Center? How do we do the library fundraiser? Because if we could have said, take that to Engage, right? Now, Engage couldn't have got it approved in time for that function. So, but they were in agreement. We need to have that discussion.
I think that's
Yeah, they determine what the role is. Well, now, Engaged's been promoting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now that you're talking about a role as grant making, typically that's have dollars, and dollars come into the tourism. Logically, then.
it's just a big request that are on, well, let's go around. Yes, they had ties to, I mean, obviously there were events that would generate visitation.
This
Again,
is all on that fine line.
It is.
What-
I would
what is
say that
tourism?
It was an
It was-
event to benefit tourism, but
Right.
it wasn't necessarily what you call it tourism.
It was on that
Event.
line, and I would, to your point, it would be great if, think if we're a volunteer commission, they can be the keeper of those. And we can funnel people that way, and they can be that advisory board to tell them, yes, you've come to the right place.
Yep.
This is right up our alley. Or, you know what, that really isn't, and I'm not even sure, because if it is, actually, it almost should be handled both ways with them, because they have the power to, if it's overnight stays, great. They're tasked with promoting overnight stays. If it's not so much, well, they're also tasked with building up community, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I see it, and I think the natural, if the board was here from Engage Franklin, I think their comment, what I just said would be, yes, fine, we'd love to do that. Talk about that percentage.
Let's talk about that other 25%.
Right, exactly,
You're
because they're
exactly
like,
right.
we'll be happy to fund some of this. If they're coming to us and you were going to fund it, why don't you give us the dollars, we'll fund it.
Right.
And so another discussion might be that things that we might have a budget for, give to them for that exact.
Yeah.
And through your board, the Engage Franklin board, they do what we do with the application, weigh in on it
Exactly.
and approve it.
Yep. So that's something we could establish that and say, look, any citizen comes in and says, I want to do this thing. Would you give me $1,000? Or even the concert series, whatever it was. We could just automatically say, look, here's the contact for Engage Franklin. Go talk to them. And then if Engage wants to renegotiate the 75-25 split, be a discussion farther down the road.
An important difference will be you have a budget that you set up and this, determine what that is.
Yeah.
Okay, what if you haven't granted all that money out?
That's
So,
true.
If you're
Right.
looking to them to give them a budget or amount of dollars grant, and at the end of the day, it doesn't get granted out, then it's a revenue source. That's not
Yeah.
per your agreement. So how do you be the cops on that? Because you are the cops,
I
whether
get
you
it.
like it or not.
Yes.
You're entrusted with these dollars,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
underspend.
I get it.
And do you think Engage Franklin wants to deal with the small request for $500?
I don't know. I think now that Brandon's on board,
Uh-huh.
he will probably have the authority to say, yes, we'll do that, as opposed to having to take it to the at large. I'm guessing, because
Okay.
we've not had that discussion, but it would make sense.
So that decision-making would be put in his hands?
I think so. Because he reports to the board, he has
Yes.
to justify everything he's doing. So, and the board could, in theory, say, anything less than 1,000, knock yourself out. Anything more than 1,000, come to us.
How often does Engage meet?
I mean,
It's
it is goes along this line that we're trying to, the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, was to have a working entity do the heavy
Right.
of tourism promotion and using these dollars effectively. Now, we in our contractual relationship are supposed to oversee that effort. We have said
Correct.
the dollars we give you, we want to see on tourism. Right, John? We have a responsibility to police that effort. We can talk about that, how that happens. Mark is certainly there to, see what's happening. Maybe other controls that we want to put in place. I guess what I'm saying is that I can still see us policing these dollars if more is turned over of items that come our way, and we have to make some decisions, and a lot of them do tend to be folks that are coming to us that be on that. That's, a case could be made for overnight stays, but that's hard to know. It's going to be one of those, well, I guess let's try it, I'm not.
You can monitor what's going on after you've done the agreement, where you're sending the dollars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't like what's going on. Now you've got to redo the agreement.
Right.
That's a difficult thing.
I want to go back to, they meet once a month formally, but they don't have the same restrictions we have, having to public notice. And so we do great thread in this line, this line. We do a lot over email, but it's all documented and it's reviewed at the board meeting. So we can do things more quickly than we can. That's one of the advantages.
And would I be right to say that, yes, we do have this, right? That agreement can be not redone, but amended for additional funding, correct?
I think the agreement can be amended, but I mean, it's
You know,
motion and it's a process, and and you
Yeah.
need to have it legally reviewed, and so I mean, it's we
It's
just we
involved.
did that back in February.
Right.
It's not a quick and dirty, easy process. So
right. Well, although
that's
that
why I
was,
say you can monitor at best when you get the finance reports, and the finance report that you saw today won't cut it.
right. I agree with that. There's got, I mean, I realize there's,
So-
but, right.
So
This,
you can embark down that path, or you can maintain what you're doing now. But
well, but you're right.
It's up to you.
I mean, whether we do anything different as far as funding, we should police and be true to our oversight responsibility within the already struck. And
Right.
Again, they're just getting started. But I do agree that 75%, what is it being spent on? But I just asking, can't we also do that with anything else? Let's say we turn over grant application funding of $10,000. Here's another 10. It involves grant applications. Show us these grants,
Show us what you did.
and in your report every month to this commission, show us what you show us the grants and what decisions.
Yeah.
And funnel people in that direction. Possibility. Now that's budget discussion. I mean, I guess it is part of a discussion about how to spend the as part of this investment. Well, here's where I was going with that. Hey, I guess it was part of this discussion of, as the city, as we get to this split, where every month we'll be able to the commission will get its tax dollars. We can then issue our 75%.
Yeah.
I think there will be more. There will be a need for us to address our what would be the appropriate term for what we've got right now. The budgetary balance we built up to allow us to fund this commission and its activities while we're waiting on room tax dollars from the city. We've had to do that. We've had to build up a reserve.
Right.
Reserve is the right. We've had to build up a reserve balance.
Right.
When the need for that reserve balance goes, because now we're getting dollars every quarter turning around. Now that there will be, it'll be time to look at that reserve fund. This is about, and say, what do you?
Yeah, but chances are not going to get there 26 or 7. Given the number of hotels there. I'm just, that's a wild ass guess.
I would say just knowing where the market is right now and what's been taken in, I can't see the folks across the road, but they're starting to get their legs up, starting to generate occupancy. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
So their revenues are going to pick up as this. They're going to have a pretty decent summer because the summer's good anyway. I don't know what their fall looks like, but it's going to be better than last fall for them, which they were closed.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to look pretty good. So, Mark, I think by the end of this year, going into 2025, and the budget kind of bears this out, there will be enough revenues coming in to justify the city doesn't have to worry about holding on to get what it gets. It can start to spend 60, 70, 30. We'll end up 150. Again, they may need to see that in reality. They may have to experience it. City may have to see those actually come in before they feel comfortable going in. So to your point, it could be 2026 before they sign off on that idea. But I guess this is a good time to talk about the investments. What do we? Sure. Because it's significant and at a point where it could be used appropriately put in the agenda and investment tourism in this town that would make it talking about the random grant application. That funding truly is going to make a difference in visitation. Right. So, part of that discussion, I just frame it a little bit. How do we start talking about that? Because it really involves, right? What do we view our kind of projects on? Kind of thing. Is it a technological that affects I don't know, but a lot of things could fall under that would one could really would have to be a solid argument that this does increase is truly investment in promotion of Franklin. Where other entities are approaching us, and this would be helpful, and it might bring people in. This truly would be geared towards promoting Franklin. Couldn't take a lot of work. Good.
So do we mean promoting, or do we mean creating traction or creating?
Yeah, I think the answer is the former. Yeah, it's creating. Well, in my mind, it either is an event creation, or it creates capacity, or it facilitates the creation of those. And by that I mean, again, I'm just going to use, one time we talked about setting up geolocation devices around the city so that we could learn when people are in.
Who they are.
It was a hardware investment, and it was a couple years ago. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. I mean, meaning, does the technology, has it evolved to something else? But at the time, it involved, I think, software. And so you can see where, let's say that's a $100,000, $75,000 investment. And as a minor, have a lot of, we would satellite budget, ongoing costs. You can see where that could be a justifiable expense. It would probably help out Engage Franklin. We would say to them, you're monitoring this, or you're getting this information, but we'll invest in setting up the that's one way of possibly increasing capacity, because armed with this information, we're pushing out digital ads on their phone. Oh, I didn't know. So there's that, or there's the investment in a conference center, or
or a theater. I know that request has been floating around there.
In your studies, you talked about soccer. You do have an agency that is building accommodations for the $1 million project. The Croatian accommodations, the pavilion and the bakeries and food, basically food generation, but also the soccer being installed, and the soccer club has future. And
that would be, in fact, a lot of communities, that is their primary focus right now, is sports development. Right? Beloit's doing it. They want to build basically a rock type complex, in that area, and really promote tournament. Now that is great, I mean, that would be almost a definition of the youth, because if you're creating a venue that then attracts tournaments all year long, it doesn't get much better. Either that or some festival you're kicking off that becomes equal to the plan is it'll be the new civic, it'll equal civic celebration, but it's in the fall of the year or it's whatever. And
They have a tournament in August, and they have a tournament in spring, and the one in the spring, they work with 15 hotels
Right.
to get everybody parked. And
Yeah.
so, like I say, they are in an expansion, capitalizing, and I'm sure at some point Polina will. Now, I don't know if we ever get to the point where, I don't know who was describing these soccer centers where they have like 100 and some odd fields lined up next to each other, which I don't know where we find that much room, but it's got to be in Texas.
well, and especially like so one of the things I'll just North End is the Bosch.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because it's an indoor facility. So now suddenly hotels that give up on tournament play through the winter are getting soccer tournament, showing up in February. That makes such a difference. Now that's real room tax dollar generation. I mean, I will tell you, I'm so excited for Enchant to come around again this year because Enchant was phenomenal for our hotel. It will be for the mainstay because this was nightly business and people felt like they just need to stay overnight or having some fun over there and maybe enjoying themselves and said, oh, I'm not driving home. And it was fantastic. So, events like that or facilities where people are engaged in a 2-day tournament.
Do more. And they need to grow as an organization too.
Yeah.
They just don't have.
So I guess it goes back to my question. How do we as a commission start to evaluate, hone in on what would be, maybe the best option for us and really most helpful to city? Create a working committee within. I realize we're the laborers are few and the harvest is plentiful, but we won't. Maybe we'll have a little larger commission, where we can have a subset of the commission individuals that work.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. If we schedule a separate meeting to brainstorm on the board, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
That'd probably be good.
that would be exciting. And I think, like I said, it'd be it would be fiscally responsible to do this because we're probably sitting with reserves that be more than we need and need to be reinvested back.
It's a very nice problem to have,
Yes,
where we can spend.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And then I guess the other question, we don't have to try to answer it, is how much control do we want to keep over that money? But this tourism committee control over some dollars.
Yeah. Are you talking about in yearly budgeting?
Yeah, just,
Yeah, right.
Yes. As we and before we move on, because we are talking about some of the grant dollars that we have already spent, this is the only place I think I can slip this into the agenda. I just have this is a draft of the invitation to the John Gerda event that the tourism has helped to sponsor. So it's on October 3rd. I'll pass this around. And it is sponsored by the Franklin Tourism Commission. So right there. So I just want to make sure that you knew that you were getting the proper recognition.
I just got to share a story with you as I'm looking at that mug of beer here. We are engaged in social media. Drive over. Build relationships with restaurant partners, but also that's kind of usually downtown. I mean, Milwaukee's talking about if the major stuff, and then if anything's going on, Frank, funny we were anything with dogs here in it was the highest engagement we would get.
Do you know know that Franklin had a brewery at one time? Didn't know. It's up on St. Martin's someplace. Anyway.
Yeah.
John's gonna
It's
talk
in Milwaukee County.
Yeah.
Breweries everywhere.
You're right.
For this discussion, I'll just add one more thing, I just like dreaming, and, might as well, when you're just starting something like this, the other use of these funds. And I loved everything we've talked about, and that would be another possibility. Something. So a lot of communities, historical ties are the best, right? If you got the oldest that, or you got a historic downtown, that is more like branding south of Main Street. You go, you shop there. But you can also be known for, you can create something that happens, but that gets funded and created, an industry or whatever it is that then grows and becomes, frankly, it's only found in France.
We could do tours of the quarry. How many quarries have?
We'll do tours of the river floodplain up and down
Yeah.
the walkway there.
I'm being facetious.
Right,
Me
but
too.
I mean that,
Me
but
too.
or you start promoting the fact that three-legged stools are made only.
Yeah.
There's a certain stool is manufactured in Franklin. That you can only find here. Now that's just but you know what I'm saying? Because there are cities that are known for their coffee roasting, and they have 3 major roasters in town, and there's just no So you go there, you're going to stop, and you're going to maybe pick up some coffee, or you're going to tour all 3 roasters. Those are the kind of things that most often happen organically. They just, like Door County,
Cherries.
early settlers started, planting cherry trees and growing cherries. So that happened, and they became known for it. But sometimes it's seeded. Sometimes a community says, why don't we just be known for this? And you bring in, or you invite, or you fund some startups to get this launched, to become known for whatever this is. And you build, where Gage Franklin builds a marketing plan around it. So just putting that out there, that you think about that. Think of the communities, the places you go, and why do you go there, and what drew you. And a lot of times in Wisconsin, it's because of a festival. It's Galena, Illinois. If you've ever been there,
I love it.
It's
Yes.
again 1800 feel to the downtown. A lot of craft shops and artists that have a studio in Galena. They have one in Vail, Colorado, and they have one somewhere in the Poconos. But it's unique. You're only going to find it.
And Grant lived there, President Grant.
There you go.
He's from
Grant's
Galena.
home right up the street.
The quarry idea is a very good idea. I was on that tour when they did that this summer.
I didn't know they did one.
Oh yeah, it was part of
Okay.
the Civic Center.
Really?
I saw that they were doing the quarry tours, and I thought, I want to do that
Now,
again.
is this the one right off Rawson?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
only quarry in Milwaukee. If that quarry were not there, all of the construction in this area would be much more expensive, because they would have to haul in all their aggregate from
Is that
other
what they're
places.
quarrying there? Mainly aggregate stuff.
Oh yes, it is.
That's what all the trucks are going
Amazing.
up and down Rawson.
It is
Yeah,
really
That's why they
amazing.
have the street sweeper that comes out every night at 4 o'clock or
yes.
5.
Oh,
Yes, they
more
do.
often than that.
And even more often. No, it is. Oh gosh, I don't even know how
I need
deep
to
it
get
is.
back on agenda.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Anyway, I think this is on there. We've kept it under new business because we need to start a and I don't know if the answer here is we wait until we know what our ranks are going to look like here as we approach the end of the year, or do we just, because I truly do agree with Mark's comment that it's probably a working group, because we have limited time and we have, but a working group of this commission to take this up and start planning how will it will entertain ideas and research the viability of this, because I can see it being more driven by this commission and researching the need and then investing in that need. Get folks that are already moving in that direction. Soccer field, indoor soccer facility, and it could be driven by dreamers in this town that say, tried to do this years ago and it didn't make sense. So, as far as where we leave this, do we leave it on new business and talk about how we, I guess I want to be sensitive. How do you create a working committee, or what does that look like? All of us? We just set up a.
I think we could
another
leave it
meeting?
in new business and just know that we're not going to spend the time talking about budget.
Typically, we go to unfinished business, but it stays there until you've got something put together that you want to.
I say we move it to unfinished business.
That's fine.
We just keep it there.
Yeah. And is there any interest in reaching out to Croatian Soccer Club?
I think it'd be good to have a relationship with them. Yeah.
Pardon?
I think it'd be good to have a relationship with them. Discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if we can qualify that saying, yes, we are interested, and reach out, say, the commission actually organizing itself to evaluate something. So, like, one, establish that relationship. Two, like to get back to maybe people that you've been talking to this.
Okay.
So, yeah, because you're right, it would be nice to get it in if they're considering other options. It'd be nice to at least let them know that
We don't want to be surprised someday when they say, guess what, we're going to wherever else, someplace else. Unfortunately, that's happened. Some other
Well,
places.
we just have a unique opportunity with two very solid organizations that are not going to have to be 100% funded from what we do for them, but they already have a basis that you partner with.
Yeah. So let's establish that outreach.
Yeah.
To state them that this is something that we are discussing. We'll move it to unfinished business.
Yeah.
And maybe where we've got, let's say, all four of us at the next meeting, and we can engage that we can talk about what that working.
Sure.
Excited by this kind of stuff. All right. Franklin Lifestyle Publication discussion.
Yes, obviously Barb Capriel could not make it tonight. However, I just have a little information, and she can come to a future meeting. Yes, this is the summer
all look at
issue,
one.
so you can keep that.
All right.
The-
All right.
This is Greendale's summer. Just in. She did text me. She said that one half of the advertising basically pays for the publication, but the other half is paid by sponsorships. So you see in the first part, the community partners. These are the community partners, and every one of those groups has contributed. And I don't know the exact amount of money. I know what it was for Oak Creek like 7-8 years ago. Their partners paid $1,500. I believe it was per year, but it has probably changed by now. But anyway, those partners help to contribute to the publishing of it, and then every one of those partners, you'll notice in the magazine, has a very nice spread, content, photos. So they have a chance to tell their story in this publication, and it is sent out to every household in the city. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of keep this on the agenda, I guess, for next week or next month as well, so that hopefully Barb can be here to give us a little more information. She does all the advertising, or does the advertising work. The partners need to give her the content. So it's not terribly labor intensive for any one group.
I think it's a good idea. I would want to have Brandon involved.
I agree. That's why I was kind of sorry that he left, because I thought he should have
Well,
be
and
aware of this.
that's part of his plan, is to have as part of their website. And he's talked about this. He's not talked about this. Laura has talked about this in the past. And part of what he's going to be doing in the website is having a sponsorship part, as well as here you get this for free. If you want to be someplace else, you can pay a little bit more.
Oh, I see.
That kind of thing. So this would fit very well with what he's with his direction.
Right.
And this is distributed then to the residents of Greendale.
Yes, it is, and in fact, it's also at the visitor center downtown Greendale, also in some of the stores downtown. So it's available to visitors as well, not just to the residents. One of the things I really like about this publication is if you go to page 39, last page, it has a community calendar, all the stuff that's going on in the community. Which is terrific. And then there's the Village Days. And I go down Loomis Road quite often, and on that bridge, right, at Greendale, it seems that every week they have a banner up there about the event that's going on in downtown Greendale. And they are just a busy, busy community when it comes to events. And they promote them in many ways, including through this publication. So anyway, we'll try to get. Barb had another appointment. She was tied up for this.
Well, I do think. I mean, again, as I look, especially when you buy content, it just seems like this is right up Engage Franklin's.
I would think so.
Right,
Yes,
because they can provide the assets. They can, they can get a couple of copies to distribute as well as because I'm guessing maybe not. Maybe just it gets mailed to everybody. That's the end of it. But
if you look at their website, they do have a calendar page.
On their website, on Engage
the
Franklin's?
website. Yeah, on Engage Franklin. And so it'd be very easy to take that and just, hey, here's my website. Let's put it in print.
right.
So I think they're part way there.
Good. Yeah.
But I agree, it's a good thing to have.
And if, as Barb said to me over the phone when I first talked with her about it, she said, Oak Creek is doing it, Greendale is doing it, goodness, Franklin should be. So there's a little competition here.
And they get advertisers. I mean, they solicit all kinds of advertisers for this.
Yes.
So,
So it's not just with advertisers within Franklin. A number of places.
right. But I can see, like you can tell. I mean, there was an article in here that had. Here, our favorite season is here, summer in Greendale. Well, and it's got the 10 events. Well, I can see Engage Franklin
Exactly.
paying for and sponsoring this page and loading it up with the things that are going on, in the area, and listing them all out and starting to really know it.
And I know that, of course, social media and Facebook and all that sort of thing is certainly very important, but sometimes the print really also.
Right.
It's nice to have something in your hand.
Right, and it gets delivered right to you. You don't have to pick it up in a rack. It's going to be dropped off. Yeah. All right,
Anyway.
so we're going to leave. We're going to. Our goal is to have this person from Real Marketing show up.
We'll try. Yes,
Okay.
I'll give her the.
All right. Voucher approval. I don't think we have any. All right, voucher approvals. Next meeting, September 8th.
I will not be. Leaving for Utah. It is nice.
Special event or just to see Utah?
Just to
See Utah.
see Utah.
A national park.
Yeah.
Lower part of Utah.
That's cool.
3 weeks.
Nice.
Gives you an opportunity to break into my house and steal everything.
Yeah, but you've got that camera. I always want to know.
You need to swing up through Idaho or Wyoming, because if you're going to be there that long in Utah, you're going to be bored.
Oh, there's other stops on.
Oh, you're driving.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're driving.
You're driving?
Yes.
That is a
Oh,
long, heck of a
okay.
long
Well,
way.
yeah. Let me get back.
Oh, I'll touch it.
There's a calendar. No, 18.
So you're leaving on that day. So
Yeah, that day is when I'm
we
leaving.
have to.
I mean, we could get another.
Yeah, so I'm leaving on the 18th, and I'll be back
Oh, you'll be back the 10th of March.
And maybe back then.
No.
Is meeting the week before the 18th, whatever that day would be, that too?
I was looking at September 11th. Wait a minute, I guess. No more than our usual, we're coming up on Labor Day.
So what's the 16th look like? Is I potentially am going to a trade show on that week.
Oh, the 9th through the 12th?
16th is the Monday?
16th is a Monday.
Usually, Mondays are usually good.
Actually, I can make
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
Monday
I
work
can.
too. It's usually a day after 6.
Yeah, I could do the 6th.
Okay,
16th.
let's do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being accommodating.
Oh, we
Yeah, because then you wouldn't have quorum.
That's exactly right.
Oh, well, you can say it like that, yes.
But speaking of that, do we have a representative from the Common Council? Or don't we know?
I'm going to talk to the mayor and see. Well, here's the thing.
We have to. I guess that's the other thing.
They aren't necessarily an official representative of council, but in reality, there's not much difference. They just have to, the mayor has to talk to somebody, or I have to talk to somebody, find, and the mayor approves, and the council, the mayor recommends, and the council approves. And then maybe the new fellow would be. He's on three committees or commissions already, but most of them are on like 4.
Dance card.
Yeah. They may be taking it easy.
Who's that?
Pecorelli.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Jim. John.
Okay.
Oh, I'll be good. I got a dental, but I can do that right to here. Scratch them out.
Just smile at us.
Oh,
All right.
baby.
All right. Well, we have reached item number 9, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to
And
adjourn.
a second.
Second by Barbara.